Hi guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video as previously promised. So today I'm using some new products from Picket Fence Studios, new release. This is called The Best Dirt, using those stamps and dies. And then this one, I think the name of it's very clever. It's Another Rainbow for All Seasons. That's literally what it's called, Another Rainbow for All Seasons. Very cute. So the premise of today's video kind of came about a little bit organically. And so basically what we're going to be talking about is casing your own cards and kind of just elevating your card design to something different, or not that it's better. I think card number 1 is good. I think card number 2 is better. And so jokingly, I actually told one of my friends today, my toxic trait is not being able to let it go if I don't love it. And so that's pretty much what happened. So I did a card, and you're going to see me make the first card. I've die cut out the rainbow, both the backer piece and the actual rainbow stripes, as well as stamped my little girls. They're so cute. They each have like a different potted plant. And then I'm going to do like a bit of a sky background with some grasses. And I just, like, that was the idea that I had. Like, oh, I'm going to use these cute little girls and I'll use this little rainbow in the background, and that'll be adorable. And it was. And I'm not saying that it wasn't. And that's the thing that I want to stress is I'm not saying the first card is bad by any means. I just didn't love it. And sometimes, I know especially for me, you know, working for other companies and guest designing and things like that, I want to put my best foot forward, not just because it's my name on it, though that is very important to me, but because, you know, I'm representing these small businesses' products and I want to showcase them in the best way that I can. And so I didn't love it, but I didn't have time to do anything different because I was just out of time, you know, I was just out of time. And so I did the best that I could at the time. And there were elements of it that I really, really loved. And you'll see a lot of those repeated in the second card, the elements that I really, really loved. But there were other elements that I was like, this could be better. And so we're going to talk about the different pieces parts. So the first thing that I loved was the coloring of the girls. And so I kept that exactly the same. I just colored the same exact characters the same way. We're doing 3 different kinds of skin tones here for the 3 different girls. A darker skin tone, a middle of the road skin tone, and then a much lighter skin tone. And this is just something that I try to do when I'm coloring people in my coloring. That's always been something that I've tried to do. Because I think that it's important for all colors. Like, what does Sandy Allnut call it? The human rainbow? I just think it's important for all colors to be seen. And so I try to make a conscious effort to do that. But I also don't, I don't want to link 800 markers, even though I use like 800 markers. So I mixed them up together. Like, I used several of the same ones just in different ways to do my skin tones, and I think that that's okay. It also shows you that you can do multiple skin tones on limited markers. And so that was the first thing that I kept exactly the same, was the coloring of the girls. I wanted them to be rainbow as well. So when I was picking their colors for their things, I colored their dresses in primary colors, and then each of their pots is a secondary color. So like the red dress is holding a pink pot, the yellow dress is holding an orange pot, the blue dress is holding a purple pot, and then the green is represented by all of the plants. So yeah. So now I'll try to squeeze in a bit of story time because we do have a lot to cover. I've completely forgot. This is so funny. Like, people talk about, like, moms, like, you need to make time for yourself and self-care, and So I try very hard to fit that in, and I have a wonderful husband who's very supportive, who also tries to give me that time. And so back in March, my hair girl was very, very pregnant when I saw her last. And so we kind of like snuck me in for a partial highlight before she went out. She was going out on maternity leave in April. Her baby was due in April. And so I went in March. And so I booked that appointment way back in March. And believe me, I need to revisit her. And even though it's on my calendar, and I look at my calendar every single day, it's on two of my husband's calendars, his work and his home calendar. And both of us forgot about it until today at noon. I was looking to see what else I had to do for the rest of the week for work. And I was like, oh, I have a hair appointment tonight. Yes, I do. So fortunately, last night, I don't know if this is a common meal or not. I don't know. Did you guys grow up eating Hamburger Helper? I really didn't, because my mother would never eat that. But as I got older and was making dinner for myself, I did eat Hamburger Helper. Once I got older still, I realized that there was a healthier way that tasted better to make Hamburger Helper that was homemade. And so my go-to is cheeseburger macaroni, and that is Peanut's favorite meal. And so when I make that, I split my my package into two meals. So I brown all the ground meat at once, but I split it into two meals. And so I still have some in the in the refrigerator. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be spaghetti tonight, because I don't have a lot of time to make dinner before I go. My appointment's at 6:30. So I'm going to tell my wonderful husband, who is perfectly capable of cooking for himself. Like, thank God. He's very self-sufficient and perfectly capable of taking care of himself and our children. So I'm going to tell him, like, you can make whatever you want to make. If you and Nathan want something, the Jelly Bean's in a bit of a picky stage right now. So she's real like, there's a lot of stuff she's not eating. She was a much better eater when she was littler. But I don't know. I don't know if it's a texture thing or what, but she's being picky right now. So he'll probably have to make her something separate. Yeah, like if he wants to make something himself, he's more than welcome to. Otherwise, I'm making spaghetti before I walk out the door, and that's what's going to happen. I never in my life knew as a adult how sick and tired I would be of coming up with what is for dinner. Who knew that would be such a thing that you would have to do forever and ever? There was a meme I saw that said, like, growing up and getting married and becoming a parent is like jumping out of an airplane, except for when you jump out of the airplane and then you fall to the ground and you die, but you don't die. You have to get up and make dinner. And I was like, accurate. Yeah. Because it's just crazy all the time, but then you're still expected to make dinner. And like I said, I'm very lucky that my husband is capable, and so occasionally he does step in. But right now I'm pretty over the dinner situation. I don't know if anybody else is with me. But so yeah, I'm gonna go get my hair done. Gonna go get my hair did tonight. For a second there, I thought maybe it wasn't going to happen because Eric was going to get stuck at work. So then I had to like call my mom and be like, hey, could you maybe, if Eric's not home, which she is always wonderful. Both of our moms are always willing to help. And so she was like, yeah, of course I can. And then it ends up that he was able to get out of work. So yay. So yeah, that's what's happening there. Here for the plants, I think these would be really cute, like colored all different green colors, but I kind of have a lot going on in this card. And so I tried to just keep it very simple and just keep all of the greens the same. As you will notice, the middle color is still my G07 because I still have not bought a refill for my YG17. I know that I need to buy it. But then I don't until, because I'm in the middle of card making when it comes up and I'm like, oh yeah, I need to buy that. And then I just continue on making my card, making do with the markers that I have refills for. And then that's that. And I forget about it until next time. How do I even function with all of the things that I feel like I forget about. Does anybody else feel does anybody else feel that way? Like, as moms, well, as parents in general, as adults, we are expected to remember so many things. And like 99% of the things I remember, but I will dwell on the one thing that I forget. Why do I do that to myself? Honestly, don't know. I don't know. But yeah, and so that's basically how this video came about, because of me dwelling on the things that I do not, that I can't let go. I cannot just be like, you made a good card, Kelly. Now let it go. I can't. I have to go back and redo it. So here is these are all adorable little layers for the rainbow. And there are only 2 of them. I'm going to speed it up here in a minute. There was only 2 of them that I used 2 colors on. This one being the first one I used a pink, the RV09, and then I blended that into an R29. The pink into the red. And then for the last one, I blended my blue into my purple. Could I have done the rainbow without the purple? Sure, I could have. But did I want to? No, I didn't. Because it's my rainbow. So, yeah, you can do them whatever colors you want. I went with really bold rainbow colors this time around. Normally I go with something a little bit lighter, still bright, but lighter. Like an RV04 and a R35 would maybe be what I used here. But I don't know. It just seemed like it needed bold color, and so I went with it. Oh, one more thing. So here I'm doing this on my glass mat. That way I can just wipe it up. It doesn't stain my glass mat or anything like that. So if you don't have a glass mat, which by the way, my coupon code is always down below if you're in the market for one. But if you don't have one, then I would use a scrap piece of paper, so that way you're not coloring your surface, since these are alcohol markers. And you do want to make sure you get the edge. That's what you see me doing there. For the ones in the middle, I just went with a straight orange, yellow, green, because they are much thinner. You could do 2 colors on them probably. I just didn't really feel like it was worth being finicky about. I am using the G07 for the green, but I did go over it with a YG03 just to make it a bit more yellow. For this inside piece, this little blended piece, it's a little bit kind of like a funky little shape, which I think is fun. I did have to kind of hold down each of those individual pieces because the connecting piece is so thin. They were moving around on me quite a bit. This is also the one I had to blend the most. So I'm blending a B06 into a V06. And it just, like, where they were meeting just wasn't working as well as I wanted it to. And if that happens to you, if your color families aren't blending great, go with just like a lighter version in the center to get them blended. So I used a B04, I think, and a V04, and then that got them where they needed to be, where they were all nice and blended up. So yeah, so now those are all done. And then for this card, I am adhering them to this base that we've also done this, like the sky inking on, and I'm going to use the template to keep them straight. Honestly, I wish that I would have done this with the second card, just because it made them easier to make sure everything went into its place. The only thing I just have to caution you about is if you're using liquid adhesive like I am, you just want to make sure that you're not accidentally gluing your template to your card background. So that's why you see me, after I put them down, purposely pulling up the white to make sure that it isn't accidentally getting glued where I don't want it. I just want this to be a placeholder. I'm not trying to like glue it permanently to my card background. And then once I have them all in their same spots where they're supposed to go, I'll be able to remove this, and my rainbow will be complete. So the rainbow was the other thing that I really liked about the card. So I was like, okay, I'm going to keep the rainbow. I'm going to keep the coloring of the girls. And this is, I'm just cutting them out with their coordinating dies. And so I knew I wanted to keep those. I didn't love the flatness of it. Like I glued the rainbow down flat to my background, and I thought that maybe it would blend a little bit better, but I didn't love it. The grasses didn't bother me, like they were okay. But it wasn't, I don't know, it just wasn't like a wow factor for me. So I did for the grasses, I did the G07 and the YG03 just to blend them in and give them somewhere to stand. I really wanted to do clouds on this card. I just didn't have the time. The other thing that I did not love about this card was I don't like how far spaced out the girls are. They seem very disconnected. And also I couldn't find a sentiment that I really liked to put on this one that would make sense for the card to be balanced. I did end up putting glitter on it, which you guys know I'm always here for, to put the glitters on. And so I used Stardust stickles to kind of outline my rainbow. Not the whole thing. I didn't fill it in completely. I just did little dots where the dots were, and then I did lines around each one of the rainbow layers. And just to add, you know, a little bit of sparkle and shine, a little something something, and I added a shadow underneath the girls and the grasses. And then this was the final card that I posted on Instagram. Again, it's not bad, it's just good. And I wanted it to be something more than that because I told you my toxic trait is I can't let it go. So now let's talk about, so we've kept, here's the two things that we have going on that I know that I wanted to keep that I liked. Okay. The rainbow and the girls. So the way that I'm going to switch it up is one of the first things that you can do. And this is like when you're looking at your own cards, it doesn't even have to be a card you disliked, by the way, or that you weren't happy with. You could look back at any of your cards and case them. But so the first things first, I knew that I had originally wanted to add clouds and I didn't do it. So I'm going to start there. And this is the, what is this? Sorry. The Slimline Curvy Rainbow die. And so I use this to cut the clouds. The next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make this card interactive. So I didn't love the way that that rainbow, the blue outline blended into the sky. So I'm just going to actually force it to blend by making it a shaker card. The other thing that I thought would be really fun to kind of take these little clouds up a notch would be to add some texture to this card to give it some more dimension. And this is the first time I'm ever using this. I think it's super fun. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. It's called Paper Glaze. This is from Picket Fence. And this is the Arctic Fox, which is the white, but it has glitter in it. This is not a paste like that you see from other people. It doesn't have the same texture as a paste. And it has tons of glitter in it. It's so shimmery. But so I wanted to add like a textural element to make the card more interesting to look at. And so I used a spatula or a palette knife to wipe the paper glaze all over my cloud die cut. And then I am taking this. This is actually their last release. They did a bunch of like really fun drink shakers. Why can't I talk? Drink shakers. You'd think I was drinking and I actually don't. But anywho, so this one is called Salt or Sugar Rim, and it has a bunch of really little clear and white pieces. And so while the paper glaze was wet, I just kind of pushed these into the top area of the cloud. And you do have to work quickly. This does dry pretty fast. But then so I had all the shimmery goodness from the paper glaze, and then I had these clear and white bits that were stuck to the top of it that added additional texture. And so I was really, really happy with the way that the clouds came out. I think they're super cool. And so I'm going to set those aside to dry once I finish putting my little rhinestones in. And so this was like the first thing that I knew for the other card that I kind of wish I would have added. And so now I'm like getting that done. So if there was something, it's a card you're not happy with and you look back on it and you're like, wow, I really wish I would have trimmed it down, or I would have matted it, or I would have added XYZ. Like that's a great first place to start. if you're trying to like elevate your card to the next level. And so the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give it some dimension with the shaker. So it's going to blend in that background, that part that I didn't care for, and then it's going to give it a interactive element with tons of dimension, because you know we're going to have to add the foam. So here what I'm doing is I'm adhering it down to my acetate. This acetate is actually from Hero Arts. This is pretty much the only one I use, honestly. I don't think I found another one that I liked. And then it is a little bit bigger, and I'm just going to trim off the excess. So now I have my clear window attached to the top portion of my card. And then I also die cut, this is out of Fun Foam. I die cut the same die out of my Fun Foam. It's cut just slightly smaller than my card front. And then I'm going to use the same liquid adhesive. Some people don't have good luck with liquid adhesive. I've never had any problem with it. But if you don't like liquid adhesive, you certainly could use like a tape runner or whatever. I don't know. I've always used liquid adhesive, honestly. Like, I very rarely use a tape runner. So here, the only thing that I just want to make sure of is, because it's cut with the same die, you just need to make sure when you're putting it on that everything is lining up, because otherwise you're going to be able to see your foam through the window, which of course you can when you look at it, you know, from the side. But I'm talking about like head on. You don't want to be able to see the foam when you're looking at it head on. And then I just let that dry, and now I'm going to put in my shaker bits. I'm using more of that salt and sugar shaker mix. I'm also using, again, from the last release, they did those drink shakers. This one is called Ice Cubes. And then the third one I'm using might be my absolute favorite. Is so cute. It's called On a Cloudy Day. And it's got a bunch of like white and iridescent shimmers. It also has some pink and blue like dewdrops, but I didn't use any of those. But in there, it has these little teeny tiny polymer clouds. You guys, there's baby clouds in here. Oh my gosh. So I didn't want any of the pink ones, but I did use the blue and white, as well as the like the iridescent and the white rhinestones. And I just filled that up until I felt like that was going to be a good amount. I know that I'm going to have a ton of stuff in front of this window, and so you're not necessarily going to be able to see it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But I do think that it adds a fun little element that doesn't really, it adds to the scene of the card. It doesn't take away from it. And I think having like the flat rainbow die cut where it really didn't blend into the background did kind of distract from the girls. And so I just wanted something that was going to be a bit softer. So doing the ink blending panel is the front and the back, and having them match, I think is just a much softer way to do it. Here, isn't this cute? Look at all those little clear little, I just love them. I think they're super cute. And of course, can you make a shaker without shaking it immediately? I don't, if you can, good for you, because I cannot. I have to shake it immediately. I probably should give my glue some more time to dry, honestly. And then here, I didn't use the template like I did the first time, and I kind of wish I would have, because I kind of had to fuss with a couple of the pieces to get them to line up. But ultimately it ended up working out. I think it's super fun that it sits on the clear window and you could see through to the background. Again, it's just another element of interest in the card that the first one is just missing. So once I have my rainbow on there, I think it's totally adorable. I'm going to then add my clouds to the bottom. And honestly, like after the addition of the cloud, this could probably be a card on its own. Like I would do a white heat embossed sentiment on black paper, and you could probably use this card in and of itself because it has so many interesting elements on it already. But of course I didn't do that because I really liked the girls. I think they're cute. And so I am using the girls, just like I did the first time around. So I would just want to encourage you that again, it doesn't have to be a card that you don't like. It can be any of your own cards. I go back and case my own cards all the time. If I'm feeling a little bit lost for inspiration, I go back to Instagram and scroll through, or I go, oh my gosh, I even go back to Flickr sometimes, like really, really old cards that I've made, to see, you know, if there's something that maybe, you know, jogs my memory of, oh, I really liked that. The one thing I did change about the girls the second time around is because I have all that texture in the clouds, I cannot adhere them flat. So I did adhere them with a bit of foam tape, skipping the part that was, that would hang over the clouds, because the clouds basically reach up underneath it, and you couldn't fit any foam tape in there. I also adhered them much closer together than I did, because remember I said I didn't like that part of the first card. It just didn't seem as cozy, and so I adhered them closer together. I still wanted there to be a bit more shimmer, but I wanted it to be more subtle than the Stardust stickles, because I do have so much already going on in the card. So I just used a clear shimmer pen, and then, you know, did all of the little rainbow portions. I did end up finding a sentiment that I thought would work, which would be a long sentiment along the bottom. And this would have worked with the first card too, quite honestly. I just didn't think of it at the time. And sometimes that happens, and it's okay. So I've treated this with my anti-static tool. I am stamping this in Honeybee's white pigment ink, and then I am going to heat emboss it with white detail embossing powder from Hero Arts. And then once that is all heated up and smooth, I will cut it out with its coordinating die. And then I think that'll be the last little element to pull this whole thing together. So I can tell you honestly, I do like the second one better. I'm much happier with it. I wish that I could go back and do it again and make this one for my Instagram hop, but I can't. But what I can do is share it with you guys so that you can kind of see the process that I worked through to get to a card that I was happy with. So that way, if you are also struggling for whether it's for inspiration or to kind of recreate something that you liked but didn't love, that you can look at that and find some things that you could change, so that it is something that you really do love. So you'll have to let me know what you think in the comments. Also, I will link below for the Instagram hop if you would like to hop along. And I know that I'm going way over, but it's okay. My friend Dawn actually did a video about casing her own cards that I'm going to link to as well, because I think that would be really helpful. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.